Good morning from downtown Houston. We are live on the Herald Facebook page. Jeff McNeil, joined by my colleague Doug Davison. Doug, it's been 3 weeks since we've done this. You think you know what we're doing?
Oh, it's going to be like starting over.
We'll see if we can remember. Hey, every week we enjoy Wednesday morning telling you what's in this week's newspaper. Before we tell you that, let me tell you that this segment is brought to you by Rocket Digital. It's the new advertising wing of the Houston Herald. They do online advertising, websites, social media management. There's a little buzz in the air about Rocket Digital and pretty exciting stuff, isn't it, Doug?
Yeah, I've heard some people actually bring it up. So
we'll have them tagged here in the video. So if you need more about Rocket Digital, especially if you're a business owner, make sure you reach out to them. Well, obviously there's huge news, unfortunately, in the community this week, Doug. We are part of national headlines as there was a horrific murder in the community. And Doug, we've talked about it here in the office, and covering these things while our duty is never an easy job, is it?
No, it's not. And yet, you know, sometimes even if the truth hurts and the details are ugly, it just is stuff that needs to be reported. It's relevant.
Right. And so we've got a case, as you've already read, and if you haven't, you'll read more details in this week's newspaper. A teenager who was transgender was apparently brutally murdered by 3 other people. They've confessed. A lot of gory details. We haven't gone into all the details while still sharing the details that are relevant. They appeared in court on Monday. The prosecutor has not decided if he will seek the death penalty or not, but it is on the table. And all these combined, it's just terrible news. And Doug, we've talked about it before. Unfortunately, these type of things are becoming more frequent than we'd like to imagine in our community.
Yeah, it's no longer just stuff we see on TV. It's here, and it's just a sign of the times and a sign of society.
It's not fun. I just met with my team with the Constitution Project, and I was telling them, as a journalist, it's not always enjoyable. We don't enjoy these things, but we have a duty to report them. And so we've done our best to report this while being fair, and also being fair to the victims. So you can read about that in this week's newspaper. Now on to other things in the newspaper. Doug, this week you wrote about the 4-H, which has a 4-H week next week. So why don't you tell me and tell us what you wrote about?
Okay. Yeah, next week is National 4-H Week, and 4-H began in the early 1900s, and Texas County has had people involved in it almost ever since then. Right now, there are 155 kids in 4-H clubs in Texas County. There's 4 clubs, and there's about 50 adult volunteers that help oversee all the activities. And the activities range from the real popular shooting sports to Lego robotics. I mean, it could be sewing, photography, all kinds of different projects they work on. And just a who knew for you, little 4-H trivia. The 4-H's stand for Head, Heart, Hands, and Health.
Who knew?
Who knew?
I didn't know that.
I didn't either, but that was the original motto of the organization back when it began.
All right, so you can read about the 4-H in this week's newspaper. Next week is 4-H week. Our local 4-H, our county 4-H, I should say, does a lot of things. They've always got something going on, don't they?
They really do. And just so you know, it's overseen by the University Extension in town, and the woman's name, if you want to contact her, is Janice Emery Weddle.
All right, so get in touch with Janice. If you don't know how to get in touch with her, contact the newspaper or contact Doug, and he'll get you in touch with her, right?
Absolutely, sure.
Last Friday and Saturday was homecoming in town. So we had a queen that was coronated. We had a parade. We've got images of those things. Saturday, we had several events in town. It was one of the more busy weekends that I can remember in quite a while. There was a lot going on, and we have photos of it all.
There was stuff going on everywhere you looked. Yep.
We only had space for a few photos in the newspaper,
right.
But online on our website, you'll see hundreds of photos. So hop online over there if you haven't already done that, and you can see everything that was going on. And speaking of things going on, Doug, we got a new business in town in an old building that was owned by a former owner and had kind of a different platform for a long time, but new ownership in an old place. Why don't you tell us about it?
It's in the space that Rust Utility occupied on 1st Street for about 60 years. It's called Whidden's Air and Electrical LLC. The owners, Terry and Vicki Whidden, are Louisiana natives, and just so you're aware, you'll love their Cajun accent. I sure do.
They're going to stand out in town, huh?
I'll tell you what, it's neat. But they would stress to you, it's not a hardware store, so don't go in there to buy fittings and that kind of thing. They're about selling equipment and servicing and installation, both commercial and residential. So their niche is a little different. And from what I understand, they're already busy as a cat in a room full of dogs, so good for them.
And we were marveling at the size of their staff. You can tell that these people are busy and plan to be very busy too.
That's right.
It's not just going to be a store where someone stays behind a desk for all day,
Right.
8 to 5. They're going to be out and doing things, aren't they?
They've hit the ground running, and you know, I think they're in for a good future here. They love it here, just so you know.
Okay, so read about that new business in the paper this week. As always, we've got many other things, and we appreciate you joining us. And not too bad for not having done it for so long.
Yeah, it'll do.
It'll do. All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.